It's number 1, Patreon week 20. This one's from Samantha J.
Samantha J.
We got some Alanis Morissette in the house,
That's
Joe.
right. And I don't know. I love Alanis Morissette, but I don't know if I know this song.
I know this song. I used to listen to it on MySpace.
Oh my gosh. Was it your MySpace profile song?
Maybe for a moment. I just remember it was on MySpace because I think it came out in maybe 02, 03 or something.
Do you remember any of your MySpace profile songs?
I do. I remember the main one that I had for years.
I don't remember
and that
mine.
still might be.
Okay, what one was it? Do you know?
I Would Die For You by Prince.
Nice. Pretty good. All right, Alanis, let's go.
If it weren't for your maturity, none of this would have happened. If you weren't so wise beyond your years, I would have been able to control myself. If it weren't for my attention, you wouldn't have been successful. And if it weren't for me, you would never have amounted to very much. Ooh, this could be messy, but you don't seem to mind. And don't go telling everybody, and don't look at this supposed crime. We'll fast forward to a few years later, and no one knows except the both of us. And I have honored your request for silence, and you've washed your hands clean of this. You're essentially my employee. I like you having to depend on me. You're a kind of protege, and one day you'll say you learned all you know from me. And I know you depend on me like a young thing would to a guardian. I know you sexualize me like a young thing would, and I think I like it. Ooh, this could get messy, but you don't seem to mind. Don't go telling everybody, and overlook this supposed crime. We'll fast forward to a few years later, and no one knows except the both of us. If more than honored your request for silence, and you've washed your hands clean of this. What part of our history's real?
Before we get into this bridge,
Joe, what a TV, huh?
the wood is beautiful.
Is that mahogany?
Oh my gosh.
Is that an
Is
oak?
that rare redwood?
Yeah.
Some sort of very, what's it called?
Cherry?
Some sort of cherry.
So
Very cherry?
I know what this song is about because I used to listen to it all the time, so I'm familiar with the lyrics.
Familiar.
And it's a very heavy subject. Have you picked up any of it on your first listen?
When it says hands clean, what I'm going to gather is that it has something to do with someone trying to kind of cleanse themselves of a very difficult situation that they probably are responsible for, or at least moderately responsible for.
Yeah.
That's going to be my guess.
Yeah, so she sings, and you've washed your hands. Oh, yeah. Fast forward a few years later, and no one knows except the both of us. I have honored your request for silence, and you've washed your hands clean of this.
Oof.
That's the chorus. Those are some heavy lyrics.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's explicitly described, you can take that into a very dark direction.
Yeah. Yeah. But I feel like I have seen the music video many years ago, but I never really noticed the imagery. I was probably watching it in 240p back then. I couldn't see much and be like, oh, that was cool.
Tube monitor.
Didn't gather any of it. But this scene really kind of popped out at me. That's her in 80s hair and an older guy. And I think the idea is that sometime in the 80s, someone she was working with, she was in a sexual relationship with an older guy. And she was a teenager.
Yeah.
And, I think this song that we're listening to right now got released in the early 2000s. So this is probably 15 years later.
Yeah.
And I think that this is just like her making that statement to the guy, being like, this is the situation. It's still fucked up. I'm an adult now. I realize how much more fucked up this is than I did back then. And so all the verses are kind of explaining how it all went down.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful storytelling, but it's like a heartbreaking story.
Yeah,
It's just
of
like a
course.
really gross situation.
Well, what's interesting too about age is, when you're young, you look at people that are older and you view them in that way, right? And then when you get older, you either kind of follow in their footsteps and you're the same way when they're like, say you're 18 and you're the same way as this person when they're 35.
Yeah.
Or when you're 35, you're like, holy shit, I can't believe that person was doing this stuff at this age.
Right.
Like, I'm 35.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine being that type of person. Like, that's really embarrassing. And,
Yeah.
or like, that's criminal. Holy shit. That's really disgusting.
Yeah, and it probably there's probably a whole slew of emotions that come through. It's probably sadness for that child who was abused.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's probably anger and rage and frustration about why someone would do something like that. But yeah, this is her song, just kind of like airing that out. I don't know if she ever, there's a thing called statute of limitations, so I don't think you can actually bring any of that to court.
Yeah.
But this is where her way of just kind of like letting it out into the world and just seemingly trying to just release it and let go of it. Be like, all right, that's over, but here's what happened.
Yeah.
Kind of like maybe a cathartic experience.
Definitely.
What part of your memory is selective and tends to forget? What with this distance, it seems so obvious. Just make sure you don't tell on me, especially to members of your family. We best keep this to ourselves and not tell any members of our inner posse. I wish I could tell the world, 'cause you're such a pretty thing when you're done up properly. I might wanna marry you one day if you watch that weight and you keep your firm body. Ooh, this could be messy, and ooh, I don't seem to mind. Ooh, don't go tell everybody, and overlook this supposed crime. We'll fast forward to a few years later, and no one knows except the both of us. And I have honored your request for silence, and you've washed your hands clean of this. Ooh, this could get messy. Ooh, I don't seem to mind. Ooh, don't go telling everybody, and overlook this supposed crime. We'll fast forward to a few years later, and no one knows except the both of us. And I have honored your request for silence, and you've washed your hands clean of this.
Dang, and the feeling of the song just has that kind of like melancholy, that kind of just like moving through life feeling of like, what do you call it? Retrospective. Kind of just like analyzing, like skimming through the past, your past experience, and just being like, I went through all this and I'm here now, but these are my experiences. I don't know. You know that feeling of reflection.
Yeah.
That's what the song feels like too.
That chorus is so good, though. When it comes in, that melody.
Yeah.
We'll fast forward to a few
It's so good.
No one knows except the both of us. And I have honored your request for silence, and you.
Oh man. Although that's an interesting thing. Look at all those people singing this freaking song karaoke. Like, imagine spilling your heart out in a song, but you also want the song to be something that people really listen to. It can't just be like,
It's still in the pop format. It's
yeah.
still
And so
catchy.
there's people up there singing karaoke to your,
Who aren't-
essentially to your pain.
to like not just your pain, but kind of like an extremely formative, horrible experience.
Yeah.
And she yeah, I mean, she's recognizing that people will probably, like, the lyrics will go over people's heads, or they won't pay attention. And to be fair, when I was 20 or however old I was when the song came out, and I was listening to it on repeat.
2002 when you were 20?
Oh no, I was much younger than that.
Damn, I didn't know you were born in 1982.
I don't know. No, I mean, okay, so in 2002 I was 13.
My brother is aged.
I don't know when this song came out. Whenever it was, I remember it was on MySpace though.
Which was definitely before you were 20.
But I was young, and I didn't realize at the time what these lyrics were about exactly. I could, I noticed
2002?
that was about something serious, but I didn't know the specifics. I think the specifics clicked with me when I watched her documentary, The Jagged Little Pill. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. And then it clicked. I was like, oh, that's what that song is about. But yeah, this is a really kind of intelligent video. Like it's got depth to it without like trying to be overly performative or pretentious. It's not like, hey, look, I'm deep. It just is deep, but in a really fun and soft way. I don't know. It's,
You know what's wild too about, like, especially this situation happening to someone who became extremely famous and successful in that way, is sometimes I feel like a lot of the drive of becoming successful in society is control, to be able to control your life. Going back
Yeah.
to number 3 today.
that's right.
But like being able to, if you make a lot of money, you have more control over your life. You have more money. If you are more influential, you have more control over the world around you because you're more influential. And for this to happen before, and then Jagged Little Pill to come out, which was a smash hit.
Yeah.
The whole album was amazing, right? And she becomes an international star. To still just have that deep trauma of someone taking advantage of you and almost and in that situation, a lot of these situations, taking something from you that you can't get back. So it's almost like no matter how strong, how rich, or how powerful you get, you can never get that control back because it's just permanently taken from you. And you have to really the main thing is, I mean, you can get justice, but the main thing is, even with justice, you have to come to terms with it.
yeah. Oh,
And
yeah,
so now you just have this super famous person going through all this life, being so influential with just that pain sitting inside, where then now that you're famous, man, people care even less about your feelings.
yeah, true.
And you're having to now that you have the space, you have the nice house and you have the money and the ability to access, psychiatrists, you finally now have to explore that, but you also have access to all the drugs, to all the everything. Like it's just such an intense idea and thing that happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think from what I know about Alanis Morissette, I feel like she handled it very well, very gracefully. She's clearly an extremely intelligent person, and I think this is the best way to confront that trauma and the best way to practice releasing it by doing what you do. And she's a songwriter and a storyteller, and she wrote this. And I think it's kind of, I'm sure if you know her personally, especially back in the 80s and early 90s, you could probably deduce who that person was.
Dang.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
that's
it
wild.
couldn't have been more than a handful of older men that she was spending time with, you know? But yeah, so in a way, it seems like she did let at least the people who needed to know who it was
Yeah.
without having to say it. And if you can do that through just writing a song and not releasing any personal information, then great.
Yeah. But wow, what a week. What a way to finish it, huh?
Woo! Yeah, I know. I feel like I could discuss this. I mean, it's a heartbreaking topic, but it's also so fascinating because of how well she crafted this song about her really intense experience through her incredible life. Like this is Jagged Little Pill was like late 90s, I think, like 96, 97, something like this. So this is years after insane amount of success, a few albums in, you know. And then now this is the
and having to hold that in too. You know, when you just when you become famous, especially like you're in the spotlight all the time, you're holding all of that in all the time. People don't know these things about you, but everyone thinks they know you.
Right. Yeah.
And so you're like exposed, but hiding at the same time, all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also like absorbing all that positive energy that makes you feel so good. Like that's like a drug. It's just all these. Fame is it's always just the most outrageous thing, and you start throwing in like normal people problems, like past traumas and horrible experiences and insecurities. You just throw that into the idea of like millions of people staring at you. Putting that all together, like it's hard enough for some people, it's hard enough just to tell their, parents that something bad happened to them.
Right. Yeah.
Imagine the entire world being like, we want to know what happened.
Yeah, the pressure of
you're
that.
Like, oh no.
I mean, to put the level of her success into kind of something we can understand better is like when I watched the documentary about her life. It was probably made a few years ago. I don't know when, but late 2010s. And they showed her present day. Still, every day she hand signs about 100 copies of Jagged Little Pill.
That's crazy.
Because it's still in demand. Signed copies of that album. Like well over 20 years later.
Wow.
And she's probably still doing it every day. It was like her husband would be like, all right, it's time to do the thing. Like this is what we agreed to, that you would do 100 a day. Or it was something like this. It's like, holy shit, that's
36,500 a year.
And that's just the signed ones, you know?
Oh, I know.
That's because that many people still want her signature on that album. It's just kind of crazy. But that's just like, and she, she's a mother now, she's got a family, and it seems like she's in a good place and all this, but still that's how that life still follows you.
It's intense. It doesn't really go away.
No.
It simmers down, but
yeah, and a
lot of people, they use the life to distract from solutions, so they really break down when they're still chasing it. Sounds like she's in a good place now where she's not chasing it anymore, but people are getting to their 40s and 50s and they're still chasing that high from their 20s too.
I mean, the thing is it sounds like she put time and effort into working through her trauma. And when you were talking about adding in the intense wave of fame and wealth into on top of past trauma and life experience, that's just more and more stress each day that's compounding. And those people that you're talking about who chase, it's just because they never undid any of it. They just kind of kept going and kept absorbing and compressing.
They keep adding more and more knots into the link.
Yeah.
And someone's got to untie it.
Well, a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's like if you had a bunch of cables, or it's like if you plugged a cable in and then every time a cable broke, you just added another cable and never took the other one out. And then eventually you just had like hundreds of cables piled up, and you're like, "Ooh, this isn't good."
Yeah,
the same thing in a on like when they do a new update on a phone. They don't get rid of all the bad stuff. They just like put fixes in
Oh yeah.
that like that replace them but don't remove them.
Joe,
and
it's
your
like-
phone just starts getting bogged down and running out of energy and heating up and stuff.
Joe, it's like DNA.
That's right.
They
I
don't
know.
remove DNA, you just make new DNA to cancel out the old DNA.
And then sometimes people don't get the new DNA and they have a tail.
And they grow a tail. All right. Well, that was a great week. Thank you to all
Yeah.
the patrons who recommended stuff. You can too become a Patreon member in the
Patreon.
link in the description, I should say.
That is correct.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.